What's up, Lantern fans? It's the Emerald Enthusiast, the co-host of the Emerald Echo podcast. Here with a look at the 2002 DC Direct Green Lantern action figure of the torchbearer himself, Kyle Rayner. This figure comes in the old school DC Direct card and bubble packaging. It says Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern. And there's the old DC Direct logo. On the back, we get various product shots, including Star Sapphire, Sinestro, Tomar Ray, John Stewart, and Fatality. We get a full body product shot of Kyle, as well as a brief biography. Here is a look at that biography. If you'd like to read this, pause the video and do so now. As a collector, this is exactly how I like to see figures packed. The figure is front and center with the accessories off to each side, not taking focus away from the figure. And the entire figure is visible through the bubble, and I really appreciate that. And now it's time to bust this figure out of the package and see what's inside. Here is the figure free of the outer packaging, but still bound to the inner plastic. Let's have a look at accessories now. And the figure comes with this wearable ring. And this is comic accurate. I really appreciate this. The sculpting is excellent. And like many other wearable Green Lantern rings, there's a separation here in the back, and that makes the ring adjustable. I can slide it on my finger. It pinches my finger, so I don't think I'd be able to wear it as a cosplay for very long. But nonetheless, I do like this accessory. You can see just how well the edges are sculpted here on the Green Lantern symbol. I think a lot of Green Lantern fans will be happy to add that to their collection. And here we have the personal power battery, and there's a lot to like here. It's very accurate in terms of sculpting. In terms of coloring, there are batteries that are more accurate, like the JLA DC Direct Kyle Rayner. But I like the idea of this representing the battery the way that it would look as Kyle is charging his ring, just lit up with power. So I like this accessory as well. And here we see Kyle Rayner out of the package and ready to rumble. In terms of Kyle's classic costume and his overall appearance, this might be the most accurate Kyle Rayner figure on the market. However, it does have some deficiencies, especially in the area of articulation, so let's get a closer look at the loose details now. Let's start with a look at the lower body, and these boots are gorgeous. I love the color choice. Just how metallic and reflective they look. These are very accurate to the way that Darryl Banks first drew Kyle's boots. You can see the light dancing off of these. Perhaps they could have used a little bit more sculpting in the calf area, but overall, these are just excellent. There are no ankle joints, but this is a very sturdy figure. And I'll talk more about this later. This is not the type of figure that you want to play with anyway. Here's a look at the sculpting in the quad muscles, and this is extremely well done too. Perhaps there could have been a little bit more definition back here in the hamstrings. I will say that overall, I think he's a little too lean. He could have been a little bit more muscular to reflect the way that Darryl Banks drew him. And even though this figure does not come with a base, he does have a hole in the bottom of his foot. So if you have an extra peg base, you can set the figure on it. Now let's have a look at the torso. And there's plenty of good sculpting here on the front. You can see definition in the abdominals as well as the pectoral muscles. And the white and black sections are very exact. And the original Darryl Banks logo has been produced exactly how it should be. It's very accurate, as is the back of the costume. Kyle is supposed to have this white section on his back to be comic accurate. I will say that the musculature here is a little smooth. There's not a lot of definition in the latissimus dorsi or the trapezius. But as far as the overall appearance goes, there's much more to like here than dislike. Now we'll have a look at the arms. And there's some decent sculpting here in the biceps and triceps. Although, once again, I think that the arms are a little thin. The deltoids certainly could have used some more definition. However, I do believe that the gauntlets have been produced very well. Just like the boots, I appreciate the paint choice. And these gauntlets have sculpted edges, so they actually look like something that has been slipped over the forearms, and I really appreciate that. Here's a look at the ring, and there are many more positives here than negatives. The paint applications are nice and tight, and I appreciate the effort when it comes to sculpting. But the top end is larger than the bottom end, so the ring has a somewhat odd look. Here's an even closer look, and as you can see, one end of the lantern symbol is longer than the other, and it could have used some more paint on the sides to make it seem like it was something that was circling Kyle's finger instead of just sitting on top of it. Now we'll have a look at the head sculpt, and this mask is magnificent. You can see the white eyes painted very precisely. The sculpting is very intricate. You can see all of the details going around the edges. This is really excellent work in this area. Now, I will say that the skin looks a little waxy, so that's an area that could have used some improvement. Now, the hair has been produced very well. You can see these individual sculpted strands, and I like the way that it spills over his mask. This has a very realistic look. Remember, this was a figure from 21 years ago, so by modern standards, the articulation is somewhat limited. There's a single peg joint at the knee. It allows you this level of articulation. The figure can step back pretty well, so I'm very appreciative of that. In terms of a front kicking motion, you can get the leg to raise up that far, so I think that's actually pretty decent as well. There's no torso articulation, single jointed elbows, and you can get the elbow to articulate that much. There is no wrist articulation, and I really would have appreciated that, especially for a good ring slinging pose. The shoulder joint does move around 360 degrees, but the shoulder joints really don't allow you to raise the arms up from the sides. So that is somewhat disappointing. Now, in terms of the head sculpt, you can get the head to move side to side easily, but that's pretty much it. There's no up or down motion, and there is no head tilting. As a figure reviewer, I feel like it's my duty to remind people of the age of this figure as well as the fragility. I have seen many horror stories about early DC Direct figures breaking at the joints, and this figure certainly does not feel like it's durable. Now, I own several of these, and my advice is to either leave it mint on card or be very careful when you take it out of the package. Articulate the joints with the greatest of care and do so very slowly. If you're buying a Kyle Rayner figure for a child, I would go with a more modern figure, as I feel like it's a near certainty that it would hold up to play better than this figure. One last positive for this figure, I think that it is an outstanding piece for autographs. As you can see, I have this one autographed by Ron Mars, and I have it positioned up high over a door frame, and I think that it just looks excellent up there. I certainly hope you have enjoyed this review. If so, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for some articulation shots, and also remember to catch me on the Emerald Echo podcast, which is part of Multiverse Musings, the vidcast, and that's available right here on YouTube. And I'll be back with more Green Lantern-related content soon. But until we meet again, this has been the Emerald Enthusiast, and thanks for watching.